Welcome to another day in the Matrix, waters above crypto. I hope all of you had a beautiful weekend. I'm sending you all love and high vibrations to start your week. In today's video, I'm going to go over the charts of Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum to follow up on yesterday's weekly close and share some of my thoughts about the sentiment we were seeing over the weekend. Some of these altcoins were continuing to achieve all-time high levels of FOMO. And just like every classic bull trap, it finishes with a fake out and retail is left holding the top. It was something I was warning the Wolfpack about in my last Red Pill episode I did on Saturday after I sold a little more of my Cardano with anticipation of this pullback into the full moon later this month. I'm going to continue to update the Patreon supporters of the Mastermind community membership with live updates whenever I'm personally buying or selling, with this month being more focused on accumulation while the prices are down and de-risking my portfolio and any projects that are continuing to become overheated. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria Numerology and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious people to help grow this community. And for those of you that want to learn how to do technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, you can join my Mastermind course. My email's in the description box to get in contact with me for access to the course. And with that being said, let's take the red pill. So, we did a lot of Gematria in the last episode. Today I just want to do a quick little recap of some of the key points, but then also some of the things that I've found over my last couple days. First and foremost, today is the 13th of September, 9/13/2021, adding up to 18, and 18 is a very important number in Hebrew. So, of course, we've learned over the last week or so the importance of Rosh Hashanah and the transition into Shemitah. Again, I've been telling everyone about Shemitah since May, and it's really important because it's a cycle that comes around every 7 years, and we are currently in one. And it's not only just this that's going on, it's not only Shemitah, it is also the 50th year anniversary of the Nixon shock, and it is also the 77th anniversary of the Bretton Woods Conference. These are very important events, and this is one of the craziest times we've ever experienced economically, and I believe that anyone who studies the economy knows what I'm talking about. So with this 18, it's really important because this will be the first time we're getting the 18 date numerology since Rosh Hashanah, and the importance behind 18 coming back to Chai, which is the Hebrew meaning of life. And you could go study this a little bit more if you'd like, but it's a number I've talked about quite a bit. This 18 is very important in Hebrew numerology or Gematria. And where I've kind of taken this idea of the 18, the 1 and the 8, is 1 is connection to source and 8 is infinity, meaning the infinite connection to source. And it's always considered to be a meaning of luck also. So you could see right here, for this reason, 18 is a spiritual number in Judaism, and many Jews give gifts of money in multiples of 18. It's all about money with these guys. So you have right here, this is a very important statement, and you could see, why is this 18 so important for us to consider? Well, because Bitcoin, and I'll show you by the code, we'll save this really quickly and jump back to it, but we have that 72 and 36, and those are divisible by 18. Of course, 18 times 2, so 2 18s gives us that 36, and then 4 72s gives us that 18. So again, 18 times 4 being 72. And another way that we could look at this would be 2 18s equals 36 and 4 18s equals 72. And that comes back to 24. And that 24 brings us back to the logo of the Jupiter zodiac. Again, this is all about Saturn and Jupiter this year in particular. It's really important. I've talked about it a lot in my last video too. So go back and watch that if you're brand new here. So we have a lot going on, but first and foremost, let's just go to Chai, and we'll type that out. It almost looks like the word chai, like chai tea. So we have the 21 and the 24. Wow. Well, remember in my last video, we were talking about the importance of that 21 coming back to Saturn. with the 21 in the Chaldean and the full reduction. And of course, we also have that 24. That 24 is really crucial again because it comes back to the logo of Jupiter. It's the Jupiter zodiac logo, that 24. And also flipped 24, like as above, so below, in reverse. The mirror of 24 would give us the 42. And that brings us right back to Saturn as well. Okay. Another flipped number would be the 6-9. Again, it's just the numbers are flipped. Excuse me, this comes back to the Pisces logo of the two fish. Anywho, where we're going with this is the importance of this 21 and 22 number. Remember, we have Chai with the 21, and the date of Rosh Hashanah being 9/16/2021 gives us that 21. And this is all coming back to Yom Kippur. Okay, so Yom Kippur giving us this 99, the significance behind the 99, again coming back to Jupiter with the 99. Yom Kippur also giving us that 45, connecting back to Bitcoin in the same cipher. So this is going to be very powerful, again with that 144, something we talked about in the last video in lots of details. Definitely check that out. So what we're considering here, again, with Yom Kippur, with the 9/16/2021, we have that 21, and this date of the 16th will be on a Thursday, which is Thursday, the day of Jupiter. Okay, this is all about Saturn and Jupiter, and that's why it's so crucial. Remember, the 7th, or the day of the start of Rosh Hashanah, the Hebrew New Year, giving us 9/7/2021, equaling, again, 21. Okay, and I'll just do a quick recap. This was Rosh Hashanah, which was a 3-day cycle between the 6th of September to the 8th of September, giving you the last day of Rosh Hashanah as the 22-date numerology. And then we're coming up on the 16th, which is Yom Kippur, and the day after being the 17th, the transition out of the holiest day in Judaism. Yom Kippur. Okay, this 22 is really crucial, coming back to reset. That's what this is all about energetic reset. And then look at that, we get the 19 in the Chaldean cipher. Okay, so if we type in today's date numerology, we naturally know that tomorrow gives us that 19 as well. This is a very heavily energetic time we're in right now. And that's why I told everyone when the day of the crash happened on Rosh Hashanah, I believe it was two or three videos ago, I was very adamant letting people know, like, we're not out of the weeds just yet. We need some time to let this market transition out of all these important dates in the Hebrew calendar, okay? Why? Because we're in Shemitah, and this is a very important time for the financial sector, the economy of the world. Period. End of story. If you study these cycles, we always have economic turmoil. Sometimes it's 100% global. Sometimes it's isolated into a particular market, like the 2014-2015 Shemitah, which affected Asia in particular. But remember, Asia is the logistical global powerhouse. Everything is made there, and that's where all the e-commerce is kind of funneled through. It's very important that people understand the global regime behind all of this. It is for a globalist takeover of the world. So anywho, tomorrow giving us that 19-date numerology, and I have something really important also to talk about. So we know that Yom Kippur is the 15th and the 16th. I'll quickly show that just so we could verify that for everyone. So you can see right here, Yom Kippur 2021, it starts on the date of the 15th, but the official day would be the 16th, okay? But what's important about this 15th of September date, okay? It's a very important date, because if we look at this date from the start date of the year to 9/15, the day of Yom Kippur starting, it's the 257th day of the year. Why is that number so important? Well, 257 is the 55th prime number. That 55 is extremely powerful when it comes to cryptocurrency, because the 55 is in Satoshi Nakamoto, okay? 55 in full reduction and 55 in the Chaldean cipher, okay? This is extremely important that people learn about this stuff, because Satoshi Nakamoto is Saturn, and Saturn is Father Time. That's why everything in this market is oriented around timing and the calendar and all this stuff that we've been exposing here on this channel. Again, Satoshi Nakamoto also giving us the 181. That 181 is the 42nd prime number. That 42 coming back to Saturn with the 42. And again, flipped the 42 coming back to the 24, which brings us back to Jupiter. It's very important that we see this for what it is. Okay, so this day, the day of Rosh Hashanah starting, will be the 257th day of the year. Again, the 257 number is the 55th prime, or 5 fives, and 5 fives gives us 25. Again, coming back to the BTC ticker 25. Extremely important, again, because we have that 7, and that 7 is coming back to Shemitah, a 7-year cycle. And also the month of September is actually the 7th month. It's in the 9th month according to the Gregorian calendar, which is a scam calendar, okay? But even though we still get that 9 in Chaldean and BTC, they're showing us the code right in front of our faces, okay? But septa means 7, and septagon is a 7-sided figure, so it makes no sense that we call September the 9th month of the year. It's a lie. It's a lie that is right in front of our faces, and very, very few people question it or look into it. So this is important, okay? This tie back to the 257th day of the year, which is the start of Rosh Hashanah. Again, 257 is the 55th prime, 55 coming back to Satoshi Nakamoto, who is Saturn, and all of this comes back to Saturn because the date of Yom Kippur gives us the 21 coming back to Saturn. Also, remember, with Bitcoin, we have 21 million Bitcoins in supply. That's showing you right to your face it's all about Saturn, okay? And all about these guys, the 2142 Society of Jesus. Okay, so let's continue. We're going to do some of our TA for the day. We all know that these Hebrew dates are important. I've proven such in my work when we had this huge flash crash on Rosh Hashanah, and we were setting up for it beautifully. Over this weekend, we had a lot of FOMO going on, and again, I've told people time and time again that this market in the altcoins is going to be very manipulated moving forward. It's going to be extremely manipulated, so people need to get ready because some coins will pump last minute before a huge pullback, and that's what this market does to people. I've seen it happen time and time again because I've been looking at these charts 12 to 14 hours every day for almost 2 years now. I know what's going on from a deeper perspective because I've emotionally gone through these cycles. That's kind of where the experience comes in. So now when we're getting ready for these moves, it's not all about being perfect at calling the tops or calling the bottoms. It's about being ready for the volatility, being ready for the manipulation to come in. So what's really important right now is we are starting to see that idea that I had back here on the date of the crash where I was telling people, hey guys, give this a few days, let this settle out, because you're going to start seeing prices that come back very similarly to the lows of September 7th, but you're not going to have the same amount of volume. So what that means is on the day of the 7th of September, we had a lot of volume going on because there was so much liquidations and liquidations happening very fast. What that does is it bogs down the exchanges, and it makes it so it's very hard to initiate trades or to be able to sell spot or buy spot. So it's better to just be patient and let this play out. And I've been calling for a low dip on the 16th. Again, no, I'm not using the word crash. I don't like that word. I'm not saying there'll be a massive correction. What I believed was what I said on the day of the 7th. I said this wick right here on any chart you get, any chart, if you go on Cardano, Ethereum, XRP, it doesn't matter. This wick bottom that we got is a crystal ball into the retest levels around the 14th, 15th, 16th of the month. Now, can the alts go lower into the end of the month or early October? Absolutely they can. Why? Because they've already been extremely pumped to the upside. The more gains they have, the more they could pull back and correct. So again, I'm not using the word crash at this time. That's a really it's just a very emotional word. A lot of people are throwing it out left and right and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Unsophisticated investors that are emotional like using these very emotional words, and that's typically what it manipulates their mind and it manipulates all the people they speak to. So it's important to see this for what it is. In actuality, when we were pumping up last night or a couple days ago, people thought that this was it, that was the bottom, and we'll see. We'll have to wait how it goes. But I would not be surprised if into the full moon of the month, which again is the September 20th date, I would not be surprised if we start seeing retests of this bottom wick and even a little bit lower. Like on the 16th, we could come down to 40K again. Doesn't really matter to me because at the end of the day, we see see this happen all the time, where Bitcoin goes into a downtrend before a massive move to the upside. This is called a bear trap. This bear trap scenario is what I am seeing happening again. And it'll happen 1 to 2 more times for this market before a real Bitcoin bull run ensues and before a alt season. So we're technically not in a we're not in a bullish energy at this time because we never made a new all-time high for Bitcoin. Okay, these altcoins, some of them did, but for the most part, Bitcoin is actually still in a downtrend. This high that we got on the 7th and 6th, it's just a lower high in the structure. It's not a new all-time high. Same thing happened for Ethereum, same thing happened for XRP, and a majority of the coins. Of course, there was some outliers, but all those outliers were catching up in market cap to a lot of the other bigger players. The coins that mattered most in this market, and I actually have a Patreon video coming soon because I have a theory as to why we saw Solana, Luna, and then the move into Algorand. I have a video coming soon for Patreon. I think it's going to be pretty good. But anyways, so what we saw on our weekly close was extremely nice in regards to a technical analyst's eyes. We saw that closure above the 21 exponential moving average, which is this orange moving average right here. We saw the closure above it, and then we immediately came and back tested it after the weekly close. Then after that after we've initiated that bounce, we're seeing that we're getting a really nice support at the 13 weekly exponential. I also told people that any movements we have on the 16th through the 20th to the downside, or let me just say from tomorrow till the full moon for Bitcoin, I still anticipate a pop up and a weekly close above the 21 EMA. That would just be a textbook technical analysis level, so I don't want to overthink things at this time. And as long as we're seeing strong bounces off of the 21 exponential, there's nothing that could kind of, sway my opinion in another direction. So another thing that's important to know about tonight is we have a 2-day closure. And our 2-day, we can see that we've actually back tested the 34 exponential a couple days ago. And we are also kind of holding a support on it right now. So what this tells me is if we're going to close tonight below this level of about 44,100, that's going to tell me there's some weakness in the charts, and that would further the thesis of continuation to the downside for the middle of the month. Okay. So another thing that's really kind of unique, and I haven't heard many people talk about, is this right here. This is the Bollinger Bands on the 2-day, and we can see that the bottom side Bollinger Band has actually crossed above the 55 simple. And why is that important? Because every time we do that, every time we have that cross, we initiate a rally. So let me show you really quickly back here. So you can see the first cross we got was right there on the 8th of December. That cross came, and right after that cross happened, we actually did dip down a little bit further, very similar to what I'm saying now, and then we just went boom. Okay, look at right here. When this cross happened, right there, boom, blast to the upside. Then we crossed above it again, actually still continued on to new highs. So where the cross came in was at 50,000, or around 50,000, let's just say, on the daily open. And then if you went by this little indicator, you would have had an entry and immediately saw a pump up to 62,000. And if you just held it, you could have gotten all the way up to 65. So this is something really rare. Not a lot of people talk about it. It's been part of my more how do I say this, my more advanced technical analysis that I've taught people. But whenever we're looking at stuff like this, we need to take it with a grain of salt. We got the close. Now we're seeing a little bit of a dip to the downside. We could see the bottom side Bollinger Band is around 43,000. That's a beautiful area to see a dip down and then correction to the upside. Holding that 2-day Bollinger Band would not surprise me, and then a rally because of this cross. And that rally, I would suspect, will start to be obvious by the second week of October. So we still have a ton of time. Like, if you take what I just said and consider it all the way until the middle of next month, we have 28 more days. So I'm just giving you the crystal ball of the future. I'm not trying to tell you anything about the immediate short term. Let's look at the daily. We can see a couple things going right here. One, we have our 8 simple moving average, our 200 simple, and our 55 all kind of coiling up together, all going towards the center. Now, this 200 is at a straight line. We can see multiple daily closure rejections below it. We could see today we're having a little bit of a struggle on the 55 simple. We haven't actually closed a daily candle below the 55 simple since We actually just blasted through it sometime in late July. But this is the first time we would be potentially closing below that level, and it's still completely fine at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter much to me. But one thing to notice is we did backtest the bottom side Bollinger Band on the daily perfectly. Let me turn off these Bollinger Bands and let's look at some of our other moving averages, because this 8 is really sloping to the downside. Okay, so if I showed you what's going on here, you can see that the 8 simple moving average has crossed below the 21 and the 13, probably below the 34 tonight or tomorrow, and then eventually that 200. It's sloping down very fast. There's a lot of volatility in this market, and soon, because remember, I stopped talking about moving averages back here because I couldn't talk about them anymore because they're a lagging indicator and they needed time to settle out after a huge liquidity crash to the downside. The same thing goes after you have another big volatile move. You notice how this big red candle just shakes everything up? That's what this market does. It's a bull trap. I told people it would happen so long ago, and when it does happen, it kind of shakes up the TA, and then you need to switch your form of TA closer to the more esoteric side of things. You need to start looking at things based on the numerology, gematria, and astrology in order to see the day-to-day movements. But for the most part, we know that leading down into the 16th was kind of our overall thesis for a low. And maybe I could just quickly go over that in a second. So anyways, while we have these crosses to the downside of our shortest term moving average, the 8 simple crossing below the 13, the 21, and potentially the 34, that's bearish. Okay, so it's important to keep that in mind. We've been talking about flipping bearish back when Bitcoin was 52K, and these are the reasons why. It's all about preparation. So let's just look at the bottoms that I was talking about in the last video and reiterate why 56 days is equally as important as 57 or 58. And it goes like this. So we had our first correction back here around Thanksgiving. And then if we go over, we have 56 days into this dip right here. Then we go from this dip, and we can see that if we go over 56, 57 days, boom, right there, 57 days, we got a pullback. Let's go to here. And you could just keep having fun with this. We could see right there, 56 days, we have a pullback. Right here was the middle of it all. We could see 58 days, we have our big major crash. Let's go from here. And we could see 58 days on the nose. We have that bottom. That was actually the lowest low we've gotten in the structure so far. So let's go over from here. And we could see that little micro pullback that we got right there before continuation to a new microcycle high. It came in. And then we have our recent bigger pullback into July full moon. Let's go over 58 days. And you're going to see that 56 days is actually tomorrow. And then 57 days is the day of Rosh Hashanah. Then the 16th, the 58th day, is the day of Rosh Hashanah. So basically from tomorrow through Rosh Hashanah, we have to be open-minded for volatility, for a potential bigger pullback. Does this affect the altcoins? Absolutely. Does this mean that the altcoins will will bottom out on the 16th? No. The altcoins can absolutely bleed out even further. Again, I know that might get people mad, but you just have to take it for what it is because I've seen this happen before, okay? We can see Ethereum actually bottom out later than the full moon, like the 26th or the 25th. And if Ethereum does that, a lot of the other altcoins will do that as well because Ethereum runs the ERC20 realm, and a lot of these shit coins are tied to that. So anyways, let's move on to the Ethereum analysis. We have a couple things to say about that. Ethereum giving us the middle finger. We do also have a little bit of a pattern forming. I don't want to call it too early, but it is what it is for now. We could tell there's a very important resistance at 4,000. I believe I sold my last de-risking level at $4,011. So I caught the wick within maybe 10 or 15 bucks. I sold a little early on some of my Ethereum positions, but again, that's completely fine because I got into Ethereum at $100, $200. My highest buy-ins that I had with Ethereum were around 400. So it was around a 10x on my last de-risk. I could care less at this point. It's just money. So where we're going with this is we're starting to see a little bit of a support level held at the 3,000 level. It's really strong. We could kind of just draw that in right here. Basically that 0.5 fib level. So you see that 0.5 fib, it's very, very strong. Where we saw a secondary rejection was at the golden pocket after a pretty exuberant move all the way up to the 888 fib. So once this starts closing dailies below the 0.5, I anticipate a quick flash down to retest this bottom wick around 2,900. And then after 2,900, the next level to the downside would be 2,722. And it could even go lower than that. But I would anticipate, this is a very good market at this time in regards to ETH. There was a lot of strength and momentum to the upside after a pretty substantial correction in late May, and it didn't hit new all-time highs, which makes me happy. I don't like how some of these coins like Cardano, Constellation, DAG, Algorand, I don't really like to see that, because as somebody who understands this market a little deeper, when you start to see all-time highs in altcoins, when Bitcoin is starting to correct, that means that if you don't take action on those coins while you're in massive profits, you're probably going to get faked out, and it's not good. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. I've had it happen to a lot of clients, and they just think it's going to go green to the sky forever, and that's not how this market works. So one of the things that we could discuss is the weekly close for Ethereum. Let me turn off these drawings, and that firmament that I had wasn't really that important. What's most important is our EMAs, and we're seeing we actually back tested the 13 on the crash, but we're way above these moving averages. That's really nice. We could also see that the 21 exponential is sitting around 2,700, which I believe is also, yep, that's the 382 level that I told you guys about. So I would be looking for that 382 again, bounce off the 21 exponential. But another thing I do have to say is this 34, it gets retested for sure. You can see this huge liquidity wick. We got retested. You could see right here, it almost retested right there. This red moving average, I keep it red on purpose because it's pretty much the bloodiest opportunity you can get on the macro charts. So any 5-day, 3-day, weekly chart, bi-weekly, monthly, etc., if you could ever get down to the 34 exponential moving average, that's a pretty solid buying opportunity. So we could also see, though, look at the pump of August last year into the correction of September. It came down to the 21, guys. So I would not be greedy waiting for lower levels than the 382. That's not financial advice. So we have our level at the bottom, that 382 fib, we're around $2,700. And that's obviously important because 27, and then that connection back to Bitcoin with the 72. It's just crazy how all these numbers work. 27 and 72 are very powerful when you're doing crypto Gematria. So I would just look to those levels on the downside, and I would always keep some orders open at the 236 if necessary. Let's move on to the XRP analysis before we have a super long video. Let's go to the daily chart and just see what's going on here. So I'm going to turn off these moving averages, and we could see the pop up to 140 level, check, huge volatility to the downside, check, retest of the 0.5 fib with a rejection, check, and now we've seen it wants to continue to the downside. So yesterday seemed like a pretty good day, but it wasn't, because it was all retail over the weekend, and now the big boys are back and they have a lot more money than you do. So where we're seeing right now, any closures below 105, like I've been telling you time and time again, that's bearish. So I would anticipate we could probably look for closures today at this level and start to see some movement to the downside. Let's see if we have any other moving averages to tell us the story here on the daily. Yeah, just multiple closures below the 34. So we're closing below the 13, 21, and 34 time and time again since the bigger correction. This is not looking good. This looked like an attempt with a fake out, and now we are probably going to continue down this white trend line until we start to bottom out closer to this 93, 94 cent level on the bottom wick with continuation to the 236. And that could even happen in late October, guys. So got to be patient on coins like XRP and a lot of the other altcoins. They're very volatile. They could do a lot of fake out shakeouts. So we have our 2-day close coming in tonight, as we talked about, and this might be the first 2-day closure below the 21 exponential moving average on the 2-day, and also below the 382 fib. You combine those two things together. Yeah, let's just say any closures 105 or less. It's probably going to decouple. It's going to want to move down to $1, and then it's going to start trading in the sub $1 range. And that would be beautiful to see, because that's an opportunity. Let's focus on opportunities moving forward in this market, because there's been a lot of FOMO, a lot of bigger channels just being like always giving this really shit advice of these coins are going to 10x overnight and this is going to go to $100 tomorrow. And like that sort of stuff, it really manipulates people emotionally, and it gets a lot of people who are actually trying to learn about this market. It just sets them up for failure. So one of the things that we could just discuss is exposing how this Gematria code has been working so well time and time again. And what we always need to remember is when the market is going one way, we need to start looking the other way. When the market is too bullish and has too much FOMO, that's when we need to switch bearish, potentially de-risk our portfolios, take some profits if we're in major profits especially, and then flip the other direction. We might be a couple days early, we might be a couple days late, but it doesn't matter because it's better to be prepared emotionally and be prepared in regards to setting your limit orders or whatever trades you're actively in, because that's what matters most. It doesn't matter what YouTube and Twitter tells you. It matters what's going on in your life and your reality. That's the red pill of the day, guys. So if anyone's looking to get exclusive access to any of my material behind the scenes, you can join the Patreon at patreon.com/watersabove. We have the Mastermind community membership, which has access to all my exclusive posts, my weekly red pill episodes like the one I just did. It was really fun to do. We talked about a lot of opportunity. We also talked about some of the coins that are a little bit overheated like Algorand and the opportunities to the downside for people who are looking to accumulate Algorand in any corrections. And then we also have all of what's going on in our Discord group chat. We're getting better at managing that. It's going to be really interesting moving forward when we start doing our live streams there. So in the future, I'm going to start doing my live streams on Discord just to keep it more, off the grid and to keep the red pills coming. So anyone who's interested in that, you can join that membership. Enjoy the rest of your day in the Matrix. Much love.